So you know Chuck Schumer. What do you make of this move?
It's perfect. The wind is at their back if you're a Democrat. You've got the overwhelming majority of Americans in both parties that want transparency here, 79%. And so what that means is that Democrats can't lose when in this search for truth. I think the idea of wanting to get to the bottom of this should be a nonpartisan issue, and I think it largely is. You have MAGA people on the right, and you have Dems on the left that just want to figure out what happened.
You heard a warning against turning this into a political issue, right? Some people are saying this is not about politics, but Politico Playbook says just today the DNC is launching ads targeting several House Republicans, highlighting that the alleged Trump letter in Epstein's book is maybe a bridge too far. Is there any risk in pushing? I see the smirk on Michael Hardaway's
because,
face.
by the way, these people are parents. You have upwards of 30% of people in the House that are parents of people under the age of 18.
Really?
So the question is, if you're someone's mother or father, how do you, politics aside...
If you have a 14 or 16-year-old daughter?
This is insanity. And so I think at a foundational level, decency should come in at some point for these Republicans that haven't stepped forward and done the right thing. I'd also say this, politically speaking, 71% of independents are unhappy with the way the administration has handled the Epstein files. That matters for Republicans in the midterm. They can't hold the House or the Senate without that group. So
here's the question. We know all the numbers that you say that are true. We know people want answers. And we know that the political spectrum of people who want answers goes from the far left to the far right. Maybe far right to far left, starting on the far right. But in any case, what do you think the chances are that your old boss, Hakeem Jeffries, that the Speaker, that the leaders in the Senate, including Chuck Schumer, do get everyone on the record about where they stand on this? Realistically, does this happen? Do votes happen?
Maybe if Democrats are in the majority, certainly not right now, with Speaker Johnson doing absolutely nothing to protect these victims and Mr. Durbin in the Senate doing the same. That can't happen now.
So not for a year plus, or really, if you're going to the following January?
Although, let's see what Massey says in terms of how much of a partner he's willing to be on this journey. If he's going to be Democrats' partner in terms of getting to the bottom of this and finding transparency, I think it's possible. The question is, the Speaker of the House, who claims to be a religious man, by the way, seems to be obstructing this effort. And so the question is, will that continue?
Well, I mean, here's the thing, right? The president has survived everything. He has survived scandals, including sexual scandals, including a big judgment in a case related to a sexual scandal, indictments, impeachments. I could go on. So what's to think? Does anybody believe, frankly, that this case is going to hurt him or move him to say to Republicans, okay, the only way to stop this, to get people to stop talking about this, is to actually hold a vote?
Here's why it's different. A large part of the MAGA base doesn't trust the government. A large part of the MAGA base consists of conspiracy theorists. This case embodies everything that they mistrust about the government and about powerful people. The idea of these rich people taking advantage of children and it being hidden by the government. Let's also not forget the fact that Donald Trump ran on this in some part, and the whole, the conspiracy theorists that led this effort, some of them actually work in the administration. And so that's why Donald Trump can't separate himself, because much of his base consists of people who don't trust the government, and this really plays into their fears, their worst fears, of what the government does.
Here in studio, Michael Hardaway, former communications director and spokesman for Congressman Hakeem Jeffries. You've been in some of these meetings before. What are the conversations that are going on right now? I mean, they knew it was coming, right? But what's this mean, really?
I think reports of the death of my party are greatly exaggerated. You know, Democrats have won multiple special elections since last November. You have Pennsylvania, you have Iowa, you have Virginia. At a federal level, at a state level, Democrats continue to win. Now, the Beltway likes to write these stories about the death of the party, but the voters seem to disagree. What's interesting here is, for Republicans, the math is problematic. By the end of this year, they may have a one-seat majority in the House, which means on any given vote, they can only afford to lose one vote. That is problematic for their entire agenda. But I think for Democrats, the lesson here is that, look, there are things that we need to improve as a party. That is factual. We've talked about that a lot. However, voters agree with the Democratic platform. Voters have an issue with this horrific economy that Donald Trump has given us. with 7 million unemployed people and sky-high prices and 17 million Americans losing health care, voters clearly have an issue with that. We should listen to voters, not keep listening to ourselves in the Beltway, writing these stories and talking about this sort of insular conversation, because voters don't agree.
Do you think there's a line, Michael, at which Republicans, if not the White House, will say, okay, now we're in trouble here. Now maybe I need to break with President Trump? Because the closer you get to the election, potentially the worse the economy gets if it continues to move in the direction it is. Maybe it won't, but is there a line you see somewhere? At what point Democrats start to say, oh boy, or more importantly, and more to the point, Republicans start to say, maybe, you know, the loyalty isn't worth it?
Well, you split it between the House and the Senate. The Senate, you know, statewide, they have more leeway in terms of bucking against the president. That may happen with 1 or 2 members in the Senate, possibly. And the House, I just don't see it. I think they're so beholden to Donald Trump, which includes the Speaker, that they have no courage to stand up for America in any of these things, from Epstein to millions of people losing health care to hospitals closing in rural America. They have no courage to stand up to the president. So I don't know that outside of maybe Massey and 1 or 2 others that you'll see much of that.
And Walkinshaw, there's no reason for Johnson not to swear him in today, right?
I'm sure he'll try to delay as best as he can. But
really? Well, to what end?
I don't think strategy is their thing.
Thank you.